Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, August the 23rd, and this is day 42 of my Colorado through hike. Today we'll be hiking segment 27 from Hotel Draw to Kennebec, 20.8 miles, 4,186 up, 2,922 down. Hoping to make it to the end of segment, which would be about 18.1 miles. This morning I do have cell connection last night, so I was able to start making some reservations for my return. And I checked the temperature this morning and it's about 43 degrees. And it is sunshiny. Let me show you the view here off to the side. Check out this view from this ridge that we're going to be walking for a while. Looks like it's going to be a great day. Just checked the map and we are about 39 miles from Durango from where we are right now. So today's Tuesday. We'll hike all day today. Try to get 18 miles if we can in, depending upon the terrain and time. We got Wednesday then, and then we would like to get it set up to where we can get into Durango maybe early on Thursday. Even if it's before check-ins and stuff, we can still get in early and get laundry done and check in. And then on Thursday or Friday morning, planning on renting a car and driving back to Denver. I wanted to take Amtrak or do some other items, but it just got too complicated because Amtrak doesn't go out of Durango. You have to take a commercial vehicle or bus to Grand Junction, and the times just didn't work out. And taking a bus from Durango to Denver was like 15 hours long. So I decided to go ahead and just rent a car, drive to Denver, and I'll overnight in Denver and catch a flight on Saturday morning back home. So that's the plan so far. The view from the ridge that we've been walking really for almost an hour now has just been amazing, with the views on our left-hand side of the ranges and the mountains and all. I wanted to, over the next couple days, talk off and on about, I guess, just my reflections and thoughts on the trail. Wanted to also talk a little bit about gear, not specific gear brands or types or anything like that. There's tons of YouTube videos out there on gear reviews, and I think everyone needs to do their own research and pick what you think is going to work for you. But more about just generally the gear types that I thought was important. Maybe any gear that I brought that I didn't use, or gear failures, things that didn't work or broke. So over the next couple days, I'll just randomly throw in some of my thoughts on the trail, what I thought about the trail before I came, what I think about it now. Also, keep in mind that anything that I bring up is really coming from a senior citizen, so to speak. It's not from a young hiker who, or a hiker who has thousands of miles under their belt. So it's just an average perception from someone who waited until retirement to hike the trail, coming from 27 feet elevation. So I just wanted to point that out too, that these are coming from a specific type of hiker. So anyway, I'll try to throw in random thoughts and all along the way over the next couple days, so I don't run out of time before I get to Durango. Here's another glorious view brought to you by the Colorado Trail. We're about 2.5 hours, maybe into the hike today. Didn't say anything earlier about camp. I forgot all about it, but wanted to mention camp last night. I probably slept better last night than I have for a while. Did wake up off and on, but we did have a deer, like the previous night, kind of hang out at the camp pretty much all night long. Every time I woke up, I could hear it outside. And then this morning when I got up, as soon as it was turning daylight, I went outside, and he was probably 10, 15 feet from me and just looked at me and continued grazing. So I wasn't the least bit concerned about humans or anything. So that's really cool. And weather, last night I think I said it was 43 this morning, but it actually felt warmer. So I think it's the first night for a while I didn't have to sleep in my puffy jacket. So as I mentioned earlier, I wanted to go ahead and start these reflections or thoughts of the trail since I only have a couple days left. So the first one I thought I'd start at the beginning, which is preparation. What I did, whether I think it helped, or what would I do differently to prepare for this trail. So I had been walking for years, and I just gradually bumped up my walking to, prior to the trail, about 10 miles a day during the week while I was working, and then about 20 miles a day on the weekends. Now that walking was primarily on flat surfaces and no weight at all. During the last, I don't know, maybe almost month, I did put a pack on and did my walks with a backpack on. I think that helped. I think for me anyway, my feet was probably the weakest link. So it took a long, long time and many, many miles to work through the normal things like blisters and foot-related issues. Making sure I had the right shoes, making sure I had any insoles, and socks too. Just making sure that all that worked well in those walks. So I think that it did help from a foot perspective. Knock on wood, so far I've had 0 blisters on the Colorado Trail, and I do contribute that to all that preparation and working through the blisters of normal walking. The other thing that I did was I did do some leg workouts, like step ups, things like that, but I did not do that with any weights, like backpack. I also did yoga. All of it probably helped, maybe a little, especially the walking, obviously. But I think that in hindsight, if I was to do it again, I would probably kick it up and spend a lot more time, less time walking and more time on like a Stairmaster or something similar with about 30, 35 pounds backpack on. And doing that all the way up to 3 hours, 5 hours on the hardest setting. That would probably come close to simulating what you're going to do every day, each and every day, for hours and hours and hours. That would have probably prepared me or prepared my body, I think, for the shock of the climbing that's involved in doing the Colorado Trail. But other than that, I think that the preparations were all good, but those were the main things I can think of that I would do differently, is just focus a little more on the climbing aspect of it and maybe a little less on the walking. I've been showing a lot of views, which I know never comes out on video or camera like it does in person, but also wanted to show what it looks like in some of the forest sections of segment 28. So I love walking through these pine forest. Gets the sun off from you for a bit. even though it is cool out, that sun is intense. And it's just nice, easy walking. Pine needles on the ground, but it helps. But so far, it's been a really, really good segment. The other preparation that I forgot to mention is I was coming from 27 feet elevation. So me and my wife came out about a week prior to my hike and spent a week around Colorado at different elevations, down to Garden of the Gods and Colorado Springs and Pikes Peak and Estes Park and Denver and Red Rocks and most of the popular areas. So I don't know if that made any difference or help, but I do know that I did not have any issues at all with sickness or altitude sickness or anything like that, other than just the normal breathing coming from 27 feet on these climbs when I first started. I think it's gotten better over time, but initially I was huffing and puffing up those climbs. But I think that was another preparation that probably helped versus just getting off a plane and going to the trail and starting, especially if you're coming from a lower elevation. And I think that probably the altitude affects everybody differently. So if you're a seasoned hiker and you have some tips for older hikers or for anyone, feel free to add some comments. Thanks a lot. Okay, we've got a 8-mile climb to the top of the high point today. And I don't know for sure, but I'm just guessing right now at this point. But I think up on the top here, to the left of those pines where it cuts around the corner there, I think might be where we end up today, as far as the high point goes. So it's to the left of those pine trees. So we'll see if that's correct or not, but it kind of looks like there's a trail on the side of the mountain going up that way. So anyway, it's an 8-mile climb from here. Should be gradual. Hopefully it won't be too terrible, but it's going to take some time, obviously, being 8 miles. And that's another reason why I thought that in hindsight, having a Stairmaster or something that you could work on climbing with the weight that you're anticipating carrying would be really, really helpful. And something I did not do, and I kind of had to go into it blind without any preparations around that, which was fine. You know, my legs burnt like crazy for the first few weeks, but I might have been able to avoid that had I done some better preparation. I can't remember, it was either 2 weeks or 3 weeks. After that, I kind of got my trail legs and really didn't have any more issues from a climbing perspective. It's just that I'm extremely slow, and from a breathing perspective also, maybe because I'm older, I'm not sure, but I do have to take it slow and sometimes stop and take breaks. It's about 120 and still about 2.7 miles to the top. It's a very slow process. I'm just starting to head above tree line. Luckily, we've had just pockets of trees along the way, just in case we get a thunderstorm. We've got a bailout point, someplace to kind of hunker down in. Still about a half a mile to the summit of this first climb, but I had to stop here and take a look at this. This is just an amazing view. And I know it doesn't come through good on the video, but it is pretty cool. And that's the direction that I came from. I forgot to turn around and show you the view on the other side of this little peak here. Still not at the top of it yet, but I see where it's trying to take me. And that is down at the end of those rocks. You can see the path leading up the mountain. I'll kind of zoom in and follow it up. and that's where I'm headed. Well, I made it to the top of the climb. It's 12,297 feet, and actually starting to feel a couple raindrops. Let me pan around here so you can see what this looks like. And then for directly in front of me, I'm going to zoom in here for a minute. That's the trail that I'm going to next. That is, I think, just about the last climb on the entire trail. There might be a little bit of up and down here or there, but for the most part, that is the last little climb. It's not very far at all. It'll be on the trail, and then it's pretty much downhill that last day into Durango. So I was sitting here waiting on Nitro to show up, but freezing. It's windy, it's chilly, and I'm starting to feel a couple raindrops, so I think I'm going to go ahead and keep moving. Okay, it's about 3:15 and just finished the last, what looks like the last climb of the CT. About 12,253, I think. And descending now. There might be some minor little ups and downs over the next couple miles, but once I get past the end of this segment, it is literally downhill all the way to Durango for 20 miles. So not sure yet where we're going to camp tonight. I would like to get to at least the end of this segment in a few miles, and maybe it'd be great to get a couple miles into the final segment, but we shall see. Well, it's almost 4 o'clock, about 20 till, and I think this might be the campsite for tonight. Good evening, everyone. It's about 5 o'clock, and I wanted to show you camp for tonight. So the little mountain here you see in front of me is the one that we came down. Don't know if you can see the trail indented. But that was the trail that we came down, and now we are at a lake. I can't remember the name of it. It's starting to rain, but right now we're at a lake, and instead of camping at the lake here, it's pretty windy. It's getting very cold. Decided to camp in some of these bushes here, and I'll walk down here and show you where our camp is for the night. And here's camp for the night. Good evening, everyone. Wanted to go ahead and close out Tuesday, August the 23rd, day 42. So you've probably seen from the previous video, we just went through a pretty big hailstorm a little bit ago. Lasted for quite a while. Hail came down in different sizes, started out small and then got a little bit bigger. We're currently camped just right up there in the on that hill between here and the lake at about 11,800 feet. So today we hiked 16.8 miles from camp to Taylor Lake, which is about 1.2 miles from the Kennebec trailhead. So in other words, we almost finished this segment. We just have about 1.2 miles in the morning to wrap that up. The high point today was Indian Trail Ridge, and that was at 12,308 feet and involved an 8-mile climb. We currently only have about 22.9 miles to Durango to finish the trail. And we're going to divide that up into a couple different days and arrive into Durango on Thursday. So tomorrow we'll maybe hike 12, 14 miles, and then we'll do the remainder then on Thursday morning. That will give us a narrow into Durango, give us some things that we can, or get us in early so that we can do some things such as laundry and all before check-in time. And tomorrow I'll go ahead and go over the specs for this last segment, segment 28, and let you know what we're going to be doing tomorrow. So that's it for now. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.